Live connections versus extracts. Let's get into that a little bit deeper. In the first set of videos in the accelerator program, I believe, we only did a live connection, a very basic extract. Let's get into that in a bit more detail. So first step is to load up our data set. If you haven't done so already, download the Superstore working file. Let's go ahead and open up Tableau. And while this is loading up, let's go and find the Superstore data. So that's just file recovery. Let's go Microsoft Excel, Superstore, and let's load that up. Right. Now, in the first set of lessons, you'll remember that we had the field headings not being on the first row of data. That's okay. We're going to use the data interpreter to help us find that location. Let's go data interpreter. It'll take a few seconds. Right? And now we have our information. Where we're going to be working in is this part right here. For smaller data sets, we're talking like 10,000, 20,000. Those are kind of considered small for these kinds of applications. Once you start doing 50,000, 100,000, 500,000, a million, once you're in kind of that upper realm, you want to start using extracts. And I'll go through it quickly again, the concept of an extract versus live. It's really got to do with performance. So if I have some sort of data set here or a server, something with large sets of information, and I have Tableau here on this side, every time I do some sort of bar graph or chart, every time I drop something in to create something, it's going to query this data set on the left. So it's going to go back and forth trying to get that information out. Now this method of querying it uses up a lot of, not a lot of memory, but it uses up memory. And you want to be more efficient because then it's going to slow down your development of your dashboard. So we can use what's called an extract. And an extract really takes a snapshot of this picture and creates what's called a hyper file. That's just a file type that Tableau have come up with, and they just called it hyper. And basically what happens is it becomes part of the Tableau dashboard. So instead of every time you do a graphic and querying the data set, you're not querying it anymore. It's all within the same environment. So it's a lot more efficient. Oops, and I just zoomed in. And it's a lot more efficient. And therefore, you can produce things a lot quicker. The only thing it doesn't do, unless you set it on a schedule, but we won't get into that, is if I change the information on the left side, let's say I add a new column or I add more rows, it won't automatically pick it up because it's no longer a live connection. So what we have to do is refresh the extraction. And here's how we do it. I'm going to first create an extraction by just clicking this extract button. Right? You see things blink. And to activate it, I'm just going to go sheet one. And remember, clicking it doesn't create the extract. It just tells Tableau, here's what I'm about to do. To execute the extract, we click on sheet one or any of these sheets, really, doesn't matter. And it's going to ask me, where do I want to save this hyper file, this extract file that we talked about earlier? If you have an older version of Tableau, I think this is going to say TDE, which is the older version of basically a hyper. It's not the same, but it's like just an older version, right? It's the same thing. So let's go save, right? And it's going to ask me to replace the one I had previously because I was testing it, right? And this should not take too long, maybe 30 seconds at most, something like that. For larger data sets, we're talking in the millions, then you're talking a few minutes, but it really is beneficial for performance. All right, so we now have the extract. And if you have a large data set, you can actually test this, how long it takes to do, for example, a simple graphic like this with an extract versus one with live. So you can go ahead and test that out. Let's go ahead and save this now. And I'm going to call it intermediate because we're in the intermediate section. And the reason I'm saving it is we're going to change something in the raw data set, and I'm going to show you how to refresh it. So let's close this up. And the reason you have to close up Tableau is the same reason that if you have two people working on a Word document or an Excel document or anything like that, you can't modify it if the other person's using it, right? It's what do you call it? It's like a sharing violation or something like that. So only one program can be accessing the document. So if Tableau is open and I'm looking at the raw data set in Excel, I can't change Excel because Tableau is open. So you have to close Tableau first. All right, let's go ahead and open up this raw data set, and we're just going to do something simple like add a column, right? Did I click that, or is it thinking? Is it thinking? I think it's thinking. Let's try it again. Oh, I didn't click it. All right. All right, here we go. And we have our raw data set. And I'm going to add just a column in here. Let's just go right click, insert. We're going to go, let's just call it JED. And let's just put JED in here. Right? So it's just going to be like a string. Let's double click this little fill handle on the bottom right. Let's change that back to red. Right? Oops. Where did I click? I just went to the right. Let's click here. And now I have my data set. Let's save that. So file, save. Okay, that's saved. And now we can close this. Then we open up Tableau. Let's look for that intermediate file. All right, and there's a few ways we can refresh this data set. All right. All right, here we go. And if I look in here, we're not going to see that JED column anywhere because we haven't refreshed the extract, right? So nothing in there. And the first method for refreshing is probably the simplest. We just right click on this data set and we go refresh. And that's it. That's going to take a while. It's going to find the file. It's going to create a new extract file where you saved the previous one. And that's it. So pretty straightforward. The other method is if I go into data, I'm going to see refresh all extracts. And then the difference with this is once I have multiple connections, right, or multiple data sets in this section here, and you can have a lot. I think the biggest one we have at the moment is like maybe 10 different data sources. I don't want to have to right click refresh on every single one. I just want them all to do it at the same time so that if it takes, I don't know, 10 minutes to do all of them, I can go out, I can get a coffee, I can do whatever I want, and it just gets done one after the other, right? So that's what the refresh all extracts. The third method is if I click on this dot, actually it's probably better if I do it here. If I right click here and go edit data source, two things can happen. One is Tableau can sometimes refresh it for you automatically, or you have to manually make it refresh. And I think that's got to do with sometimes the connection. So as you can see here, this one's done automatically. When I think I work on servers, I have to manually do it. Maybe it's just got to do with the data sets or the data types. But if you don't see your information in here, you just click refresh, right? And that does the same thing again. And if I ever wanted to go from extract to live, I simply just click live and it stops connecting to the raw data set and I can go into sheet 1, right? And this is now a live connection. And you'll notice that from before, this has actually changed symbol. So there's a different symbol for extract, a different symbol for live. And that's it. I hope you enjoyed, and I'll see you next time.